Ambassador Daniel stood at the viewing window of Nexus Station and watched ships from 100 different worlds drift past. He had spent 30 years as a diplomat, and this was the moment he had worked for his entire life. Today, humanity would finally be recognized as equals in the galactic community. Behind him, Commander Lisa Grant checked her weapon for the third time. She was the head of his security detail, a former Marine who had seen combat on 3 different colony worlds. She did not trust this place. She did not trust any of these aliens. "You seem nervous, Lisa," the ambassador said without turning around. "I am always nervous when you walk into a room full of people who think we are insects, sir." Daniel smiled. "They do not all think that way. They have been good friends to us, they trade with us fairly. It is only the who cause problems." Lisa did not answer. The hegemony had blocked human expansion for 50 years. Their leader had called humans short-lived vermin in a public broadcast just last month. She had watched that broadcast 7 times. She had memorized his face. The door opened and a young aide stepped inside. "Ambassador, the council is ready for you." Daniel turned from the window and straightened his jacket. He was 58 years old with gray hair and kind eyes. He looked like someone's grandfather, not a man about to face the most powerful beings in the galaxy. But that was his strength. No one ever saw him as a threat. "Let us make history," he said. The council chamber was enormous. It stretched upward for hundreds of meters, with platforms floating at different levels for each species. At the very top sat High Arbiter, an ancient being who had ruled the council for 3,000 years. His body was like flowing silver, always shifting, never still. Daniel walked to the center of the chamber. A small platform carried him upward until he floated at the same level as the senior. He could feel thousands of eyes watching him. Some were curious, some were hostile, most were simply bored. "Ambassador," the High Arbiter said. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "You come before us to request elevation of your species to senior status. This is a significant request. Humanity has been part of our community for only 87 years. Most species wait at least 500. "I understand, High Arbiter," Daniel replied. "But humanity has proven itself. We have contributed to galactic science. We have honored every treaty. We have asked for nothing but fair treatment." A harsh laugh cut through the chamber. Daniel did not need to look to know who it was. Rose from his platform. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with scales the color of dried blood. His eyes were yellow and filled with contempt. "Fair treatment," repeated. "The vermin speak of fairness, how amusing." The chamber fell silent. Daniel felt Lisa tense behind him, but he raised a hand slightly to calm her. Daniel said calmly, "I have not come here to trade insults. I have come to build bridges." "Bridges?" Stepped off his platform onto a floating disc that carried him closer to Daniel. "Your species lives for what, 80 years? 90? I have boots older than your entire civilization. You are not our equals. You will never be our equals. You are pets that we tolerate because you are sometimes useful." Daniel looked at them for a long moment. The entire chamber held its breath. "I feel sorry for you," Daniel said quietly. His eyes widened. "What did you say?" "I said I feel sorry for you. You have lived for thousands of years, but you have learned nothing. You measure worth by time instead of character. You see our short lives as weakness, but they are our greatest strength. We know that every moment matters. We do not waste centuries on hatred and pride." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Several from neutral species nodded their heads. Even the High Arbiter seemed interested. Scales flushed darker. He had been humiliated in front of the entire council by a creature he considered beneath notice. His clawed hands trembled with rage. "This discussion is over," the High Arbiter announced. "We will vote on humanity's status in 3 days. Ambassador, you may return to your quarters." Daniel bowed respectfully and stepped back onto his platform. As it lowered him toward the exit, he caught Lisa's eye and allowed himself a small smile. They had done well today. They did not see watching them leave. They did not see the cold calculation replacing the rage in his yellow eyes. That night, Daniel sat in his quarters reviewing trade agreements. Lisa had posted guards at every entrance and had checked the room for surveillance devices twice. She had done everything right. But she had not expected the attack to come through the walls. The first explosion knocked Daniel from his chair. The second blew a hole in the side of his quarters. 3 figures in black armor stepped through the smoke. They moved like soldiers, fast and precise. Lisa drew her weapon and fired. She hit one of the attackers in the chest, but his armor absorbed the blast. A return shot caught her in the shoulder and spun her to the ground. Daniel tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The lead attacker grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off his feet. "Sends his regards," the attacker said. "The vermin should have stayed on their little planet." Daniel, ambassador of Earth, died with his eyes open. His last thought was of his granddaughter back home and how he had promised to bring her a gift from the stars. Lisa watched from the floor, bleeding and helpless. She saw everything. She heard everything. When the attackers finally left, she crawled to the ambassador's body and held his hand. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so sorry." When the council guards finally arrived, they looked at the scene without emotion. They took Lisa to a medical bay and treated her wounds. They filed a report that called the incident an internal human conflict, likely caused by political disputes within their species. The Galaxy Council released an official statement 2 days later. They expressed mild regret at the death of the human ambassador. They suggested that humanity should improve their internal security before requesting senior status again. The message reached Earth 3 hours later. President Cole read it in silence. His cabinet watched him, waiting for a response. The president set the document down on his desk. He looked at his joint chiefs of staff, the men and women who commanded Earth's military forces. His voice was calm, but his eyes were ice. "Wake Prometheus," he said. "It is time to show the galaxy what humanity really is." Across the planet, buried deep beneath mountains and oceans, lights began to turn on in facilities that officially did not exist. Humanity's secret had been kept for 87 years. The galaxy was about to learn why. 3 days after Ambassador Daniel was murdered, the leaders of Earth gathered in a bunker buried 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains. President Cole sat at the head of a long table made of dark wood. Around him sat generals, admirals, scientists, and politicians from every nation on the planet. The room was silent as they watched the holographic recording one more time. Commander Lisa Grant, her shoulder still wrapped in bandages, described what she had witnessed. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "The council guards were outside our door when the attack began," she said. "They did not respond to my calls for help. When the attackers left, the guards stepped aside to let them pass. They knew. They all knew." President Cole turned off the recording. He looked around the table at faces filled with anger and grief. "For 87 years, we have tried to be good members of the galactic community," he said. "We have followed their rules. We have respected their traditions. We have sent our best people to represent us with dignity and honor, and this is how they repay us." Admiral Diana West leaned forward. She was 62 years old, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. She had commanded Earth's official defense fleet for 15 years, but that was only part of her job. "Sir, it is time to show them the truth," she said. The president nodded slowly. "Bring up the files." The holographic display changed. Instead of Lisa Grant's testimony, it now showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared across the map, hundreds of them, hidden in asteroid fields and empty sectors where no one ever looked. "When we first made contact with the galaxy," President Cole explained for those who did not have clearance, We were excited. We thought we had found friends among the stars. But within the first year, we learned the truth. The Galaxy Council does not respect weakness. Minor species are exploited, controlled, or destroyed. The only reason they left us alone was because we were too far from the center to bother with. Dr. Park stood up. He was the chief architect of what came next, a small man with glasses who looked more like a librarian than a weapons designer. We began Project Prometheus in secret, he said. Every nation on Earth contributed resources. We told the galaxy we had a defense fleet of 400 ships. That was a lie. The red dots on the map began to pulse. We have 12,000 warships hidden across the galaxy. We have weapons that the Council has never seen. We have been preparing for this day since before most of the people in this room were born. General spoke up. He was the commander of Earth's ground forces, a massive man with a voice like gravel. What exactly are we preparing to do, sir? Are we talking about war? President Cole shook his head. No, we are talking about justice. There is a difference. He stood and walked to the holographic map. The hegemony murdered our ambassador, and the Council protected them. We are going to make them pay for that choice. But we are not going to commit genocide. We are not going to destroy civilian populations. We are going to break their military power so completely that they will never threaten anyone again. And the other species, someone asked. The ones who stood by and did nothing will see what we can do. The ones who try to help us, like the, will be left alone. This is not revenge against the galaxy. This is a message. Admiral West pulled up a new display. It showed battle plans, attack routes, and target priorities. The total Retribution Protocol calls for simultaneous strikes on 847 military targets. Shipyards, weapons factories, fleet bases, command centers. We hit them all at once, before they even know we have moved. Lisa Grant's hologram appeared again. She had requested to speak one more time. I watched them kill him, she said. Ambassador never raised his hand against anyone in his entire life. He believed in peace. He believed that if we just talked long enough, everyone would understand each other. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was hard as steel. He was wrong. Some people only understand strength. It is time to speak their language. President Cole nodded. Thank you, Commander. Get some rest. You have earned it. The hologram faded. The president looked around the room one last time. I want to be clear about something. What we are about to do will change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. There is no going back. The Council will fear us. Some species will hate us, but they will never again think they can murder our people without consequences. He sat back down and placed his hands flat on the table. Admiral West, you have command of Operation Retribution. Launch when ready. Diana West stood and saluted. Yes, sir. She left the bunker and took a transport to the primary command center hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid near Neptune. Her flagship waited there, along with the first wave of the attack fleet. The ship was called the Harbinger, and it was the most powerful vessel humanity had ever built. Commander Miller met her at the airlock. He was 45, with a calm face and steady hands. He had been chosen to captain the Harbinger because he never panicked, no matter what happened. The fleet is ready, Admiral, he reported. All 12,000 ships report green across the board. Jump coordinates are locked. Diana looked out at the assembled fleet through the command center's windows. Row after row of warships hung in the darkness, their running lights creating a field of stars. 87 years, she said quietly. My grandfather helped design the first Prometheus ships. My mother commanded a construction crew that built a dozen of them. 3 generations of my family have been waiting for this day. Let us hope we never have to do it again, said. That depends on how well we do it this time. She walked to the main command platform and opened a channel to every ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Diana West. You all know why we are here. 3 days ago, the galaxy decided that a human life was worth nothing. Today, we are going to teach them otherwise. We do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for glory. We fight because one of our own was taken from us, and the ones responsible must answer for it. She paused, letting her words settle. Our ancestors crossed oceans in wooden boats. They flew through the air in machines made of cloth and wire. They walked on the moon with technology weaker than your communicators. They never stopped pushing forward, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. That is who we are. That is what we do. Her voice hardened. They think we are vermin. The Council thinks we are nothing. In the next few hours, they are going to learn how wrong they were. All ships prepare for jump. Operation Retribution begins now. Across the solar system, hidden jump points activated. Tunnels through space opened like wounds in the fabric of reality. 12,000 human warships moved forward and vanished into the light. The galaxy had poked a sleeping giant. Now the giant was awake, and it was angry. Back on Earth, President Cole stood alone in his office. He held a photograph of Ambassador Daniel, taken at his last birthday party. The old man was smiling, surrounded by his family. "I am sorry, Daniel," the president whispered. "You deserved better, but I promise you this. They will never forget what they did, and they will never do it again." He placed the photograph on his desk and turned to watch the stars through his window. Somewhere out there, humanity's response had begun. There would be no going back now. Lieutenant Brooks had joined the fleet because he wanted to see the stars. He had grown up on a farm in Nebraska, watching the night sky and dreaming of distant worlds. Now he sat in the cockpit of his fighter, waiting for the jump to complete, and tried to remember how to breathe. The tunnel of light around him collapsed, and suddenly he was somewhere else. The primary shipyard hung before him like a small moon, surrounded by hundreds of warships. It was the heart of the hegemony's military power, and it had never been attacked in 3,000 years. "All fighters, this is Harbinger Actual," Commander Miller's voice came through the comm. "You have your targets, weapons free." Pushed his throttle forward and dove toward the shipyard. Around him, 5,000 other fighters did the same. They moved in perfect formation, guided by AI systems that had been practicing this attack in simulation for decades. The ships tried to respond. They were powerful vessels built for intimidation and conquest, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Human missiles did not just fly in straight lines. They danced and weaved, adjusting their paths 1,000 times per second. Human fighters did not attack in predictable patterns. They swarmed like insects, impossible to target. Fired his first volley at a cruiser. His missiles punched through its shields like they were made of paper. The ship's engines exploded, and it began to drift. "Splash one cruiser," he reported. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, calm, professional, like someone else was speaking. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the primary shipyard was a field of debris. 216 enemy warships had been destroyed. The humans had lost 18 fighters and no capital ships. And this was only one of 847 simultaneous attacks. On Nexus Station, High Arbiter watched the reports come in with growing horror. His silver body churned and rippled, reflecting his distress. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "The humans had 400 ships, 400. Where did this fleet come from?" Myrazov stepped forward. She was small, with feathers instead of hair and large, sad eyes. "We tried to warn you," she said quietly. "We told you that humans were not what they appeared to be. You did not listen." "They are vermin," another shouted. "Said they would never dare to challenge us." "Where is the High Arbiter?" asked. Silence fell over the chamber. No one had seen this since the attacks began. He had gone into hiding, protected by guards loyal to his family. In the home system, General Ron tried to organize a counterattack. He was brother, a military commander who had won dozens of battles against lesser species. He gathered what remained of the hegemony's fleet and prepared to strike back. The humans were waiting for him. Admiral Diana West had predicted exactly where they would try to regroup. She had positioned the Harbinger and 300 support ships directly in their path. When General Ron's fleet dropped out of their jump, they found themselves surrounded. Forces, this is Admiral Diana West of the United Earth Fleet. You are and outmaneuvered. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Ron stared at the human ships on his display. They were smaller than his, but there were so many of them, and they moved with a coordination he had never seen before. Every ship seemed to know exactly where every other ship would be. "We do not surrender to prey," he growled, and ordered his fleet to attack. The battle lasted 20 minutes. They fought bravely, but bravery was not enough. Human weapons tore through their shields. Human fighters disabled their engines. Human boarding parties captured their command ships. When it was over, General Ron knelt on the deck of his own bridge with his hands bound behind his back. A human marine stood over him, weapon pointed at his head. Admiral West appeared on the main screen. "General, your fleet is destroyed. Your shipyards are burning. Your military is broken. This war is over if you want it to be." Ron looked up at her with hatred in his yellow eyes. "What do you want?" "We want justice. Surrender every individual involved in the assassination of Ambassador Daniel, that includes your brother. Is protected by the Council itself. You cannot touch him." Diana's expression did not change. "Then we continue until there is nothing left to protect him with. Commander Miller, set course for Nexus Station." The comm channel closed. Ron was taken to a holding cell on the Harbinger. He would spend the rest of the war watching his civilization crumble. Back on Nexus Station, the Galaxy Council held an emergency session. Species that had ignored humanity for decades were now desperate to discuss peace, but the High Arbiter refused to hear them. "We cannot show weakness," insisted. "If we give in to the humans now, every minor species in the galaxy will think they can challenge us." "They are not a minor species anymore," Myra said. "They have destroyed 60% of the military in 72 hours. They will be here within days. What will you do then? Fight them in these halls?" "We will unite the galaxy against them. Every species will contribute ships. We will crush them with numbers." Myra shook her head. "No, we will not. They are withdrawing from the Council. We will not fight a war to protect an assassin." She turned and walked out of the chamber. Others followed her. Within an hour, half the seats were empty. Lieutenant Brooks sat in the Harbinger's cafeteria and tried to eat. His hands were still shaking. He had killed so many enemies today that he had lost count. He told himself they were soldiers, that they would have killed him if they could. It did not help. An older pilot sat down across from him. Her name was Captain Amy, and she had been flying combat missions since before was born. "First real battle?" she asked. He nodded. "It gets easier," she said. "Or maybe you just get better at not thinking about it. Either way, you did good out there. You followed your training, you protected your wingmen, and you came home alive. That is all anyone can ask." "I thought it would feel different," admitted. "I thought I would feel proud or angry or something. I just feel empty." Amy nodded slowly. "That is because you are a good person. The ones who enjoy this are the ones you have to worry about." She stood up and patted his shoulder. "Get some sleep. We reach Nexus Station in 2 days. The real fight is just beginning." Watched her leave. He looked down at his food, then pushed it away. Through the cafeteria window, he could see the stars sliding past as the ship traveled through space. Somewhere out there, Ambassador had died because the galaxy thought humans were nothing. Was not sure what humans were anymore, but he knew one thing for certain. They were definitely not nothing. Nexus Station had existed for 10,000 years. It was the center of galactic civilization, a place where every species came together to trade, negotiate, and build alliances. It had survived wars, plagues, and the fall of empires. It had never been threatened directly. Until now. Commander Miller stood on the bridge of the Harbinger and watched the station grow larger on the main screen. It was beautiful, he had to admit. A massive ring of metal and light, spinning slowly against the stars. Millions of beings lived there, from hundreds of different worlds. "All ships hold position," Admiral Diana West ordered. "We are not here to destroy, we are here to negotiate." The human fleet spread out around the station, 3,000 warships forming a perfect sphere. They did not fire. They did not need to. Their presence was message enough. Diana opened a channel to the station. "High Arbiter, this is Admiral Diana West of the United Earth Fleet. We are here to discuss the surrender of and all individuals involved in the assassination of Ambassador Daniel. Please respond." The silence stretched for almost a minute. Then the High Arbiter's face appeared on the screen. His silver features were twisted with rage. "You dare bring weapons to this sacred place. You dare threaten the heart of galactic civilization. We dare because you murdered one of our own and called it nothing. We dare because you protected the killer instead of delivering justice. We dare because you left us no other choice. The Council will never surrender to human threats. We will unite every species against you. Your tiny world will burn." Diana's expression remained calm. "High Arbiter, I am going to share some information with you. Please pay attention because I will only say this once." She nodded to her communications officer. A new display appeared on the screen, showing a map of the galaxy covered in red markers. "These are the locations of every council leader's personal estate and family residence. We know where you sleep. We know where your children live. We know where you go when you think no one is watching." Silver form went still. "You would not dare." "We are not interested in genocide, High Arbiter. We do not want to kill civilians or destroy worlds. But the leaders who enabled the murder of our ambassador will face consequences. Not their people, not their species. Them personally. If you continue to protect, we will come for everyone who made that choice." The channel went silent. Diana turned to Commander Miller. "How long do you think he needs to think about it?" "Not long, he is a coward. Cowards always protect themselves first." Inside Nexus Station, chaos had erupted. The High Arbiter's threat to unite the galaxy had failed. Most species wanted nothing to do with a war against humanity. They had already withdrawn. There were refusing calls. Even the remaining allies were looking for ways to escape. Myras had gathered a group of neutral species representatives in a private chamber. They were frightened, but they were also determined. "We must end this," Myras said. "The humans are not our enemies. They only want justice for their murdered ambassador. If we give them what they want, this war stops." "The High Arbiter will never agree," someone said. "Then we make him agree, or we remove him and agree ourselves." The words hung in the air. No one had ever suggested removing a High Arbiter before, but these were not normal times. In a secure bunker beneath the station, paced back and forth like a caged animal. His guards stood at attention, but he could see the fear in their eyes. They had watched the same reports he had. They knew what was coming. "They cannot touch me here," he muttered. "The Council protects its own." One of the guards, a young named Al, cleared his throat. "The fleet is destroyed. The hegemony is broken. The High Arbiter cannot protect you anymore." "Silence, I am of the Galaxy Council. I am above human justice." "You murdered an unarmed diplomat," Al said quietly. "You brought this war upon us. Our families are dying because of your pride." Spun around, his claws extended. "How dare you speak to me like that?" But the other guards had moved. They stood beside Al now, their weapons pointed at. "We will not die for you," Al said. "You will face human justice. Perhaps if we deliver you ourselves, they will spare what remains of our people." Tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. His own guards bound his hands and led him out of the bunker. The mighty who had called humans vermin was now a prisoner of his own kind. The news reached the High Arbiter within minutes. Before he could respond, Myers appeared in his private chamber with 20 representatives from neutral species. "It is over," she said. "Is in custody. They have surrendered him to save themselves. You can continue this war alone, or you can negotiate peace." "I am the High Arbiter. I speak for the galaxy." "You spoke for the galaxy when you protected an assassin. Look where that has brought us." Myra stepped closer. "The humans do not want to destroy us. They want justice. Give them what they want or step aside for someone who will." Looked at the faces around him. He saw no support, only fear and anger. His 3,000 years of rule had come to this moment. He could fight and certainly lose, or he could bend and perhaps survive. "Very well," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Contact the humans. Tell them we will negotiate." Commander Lisa Grant had spent 5 days recovering from her wounds. She had watched the war unfold from a hospital bed on Earth, unable to do anything but wait. When President Cole asked her to represent humanity at the surrender negotiations, she thought he was joking. "You were there," the president said. "You saw what they did. You have earned the right to face them." Now she stood in the Harbinger's shuttle bay, wearing her dress uniform with her arms still in a sling. Admiral West walked with her to the shuttle. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Diana asked. Lisa nodded. Ambassador believed in talking. He believed that words could change things. "I am going to finish what he started." She boarded the shuttle and flew to Nexus Station. When she stepped off onto the docking platform, a delegation of council representatives was waiting for her. At their center stood High Arbiter, diminished and silent. Behind him in chains stood. Lisa walked forward until she was face to face with the who had ordered the ambassador's death. He was huge, towering over her, but his yellow eyes were full of fear. "Ambassador came here in peace," she said. Her voice was steady, but inside she was shaking. "He offered friendship. He offered understanding. You called him vermin and had him murdered. Now look at you. Your fleet is destroyed. Your hegemony is broken. You are in chains and I am standing where he should be standing." She leaned closer. "He was worth 1,000 of you, and you will spend the rest of your life knowing that a creature you considered vermin brought your entire civilization to its knees." Said nothing. There was nothing left to say. Lisa turned to face the assembled. "Humanity does not want revenge. We want justice, and all conspirators will stand trial. The Galaxy Council will be reformed with protections for all species, and the galaxy will remember that human lives have value. Those are our terms. Accept them, and this war ends today." High Arbiter bowed his silver head. "We accept." Lisa Grant let out a breath she did not know she had been holding. "Ambassador," she thought, "I hope you are watching. We did it." The war was over. Now came the hard part. Building something better from the ashes. 3 months had passed since the surrender at Nexus Station. The galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Old powers had fallen. New alliances had formed. And in the great council chamber where Ambassador Daniel had once been mocked, a trial was taking place that the entire galaxy was watching. Stood in a containment field at the center of the chamber. His scales had lost their color. His proud posture had crumbled. He looked like what he had become, a broken creature waiting for judgment. 47 other defendants stood beside him. Advisors, guards, and officials who had helped plan and execute the assassination. Even High Arbiter was among them, his silver form dull and still. The evidence had been overwhelming. Security recordings showed giving permission to act. Communications logs revealed the conspiracy in detail. Witnesses from a dozen species had come forward to testify about what they had seen and heard. The trial lasted 3 weeks. When it ended, the verdicts were unanimous. Was sentenced to life imprisonment on a human penal colony. He would live out his remaining centuries in a small cell, surrounded by the species he had tried to destroy. It was a fate he considered worse than death. The other conspirators received similar sentences. Some were younger and they might eventually earn release through good behavior. Others, would never see freedom again. As was led away, Commander Lisa Grant watched from the gallery. She felt no satisfaction, no joy, only a quiet sense of completion. Justice had been done. Ambassador could rest. The Galaxy Council was dissolved that same day. In its place, a new galactic assembly was formed with a constitution that guaranteed rights for all species, regardless of how long they had been spacefaring. No more minor species. No more second-class citizens of the galaxy. Earth was offered leadership of the new assembly. Every species expected humanity to accept. After what they had done, they had certainly earned the right to rule. President Cole declined. His speech was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. He stood in the same chamber where the trial had taken place, surrounded by representatives from hundreds of species. "We did not do this for power," he said. "We did not do this for revenge. We did this because a good man was murdered and the galaxy called it nothing. We did this because justice matters, no matter who is asking for it." He paused and looked around the chamber. "Humanity has made mistakes in our history. We have conquered and enslaved. We have destroyed and corrupted. But we have also learned. We have grown. We understand now that true strength is not measured by how many worlds you control or how many ships you command. True strength is measured by how you treat those who are weaker than you." The chamber was silent. Every being present listened with complete attention. "We will not rule this assembly. We will participate as equals, just as we always should have been. We will offer our friendship to any species that wants it. We will defend any species that needs it. And we will never forget what happened when the galaxy decided that a human life was worth nothing." His voice hardened slightly. "Let this be remembered. Humanity will always extend a hand in friendship first. But if that hand is cut off, we will answer with everything we have. Not because we are cruel, not because we enjoy war, but because we refuse to let those we love be taken from us without consequence." The applause started slowly, then built to a roar. Species that had feared humanity now saw something else in them. Strength, yes, but also honor, also mercy. Lisa Grant was appointed as Earth's new ambassador to the Galactic Assembly. It was a role she had never wanted, but she understood why she had been chosen. She had been there at the beginning. She had seen the worst. Now she would help build the best. She took up residence in the same quarters where Ambassador had died. The room had been repaired, the damage erased, but she could still feel his presence sometimes, especially late at night when she sat by the window and watched the ships go by. She kept his photograph on her desk. It was the same one President Cole had held on the day the war began. An old man smiling at his birthday party, surrounded by family and love. "I hope I make you proud," she whispered to it sometimes. "I hope I do half as well as you would have." The months passed. The galaxy slowly healed. Trade resumed. Diplomacy flourished. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years began to find common ground. The humans had not just won a war. They had proven that things could change. One afternoon, Lisa was visited by a delegation of young aliens. They were students from a dozen different worlds, part of an exchange program that had been established after the war. They had grown up watching the trial, learning about what had happened and why. Their teacher, a female named Sira, brought them to Lisa's office to ask questions. The students were nervous at first, but Lisa put them at ease with warm smiles and simple answers. Finally, a young raised his hand. He was barely a meter tall, with big eyes and fur the color of copper. "Ambassador Grant, I have one more question." "Of course, what is it?" "Is it true that humans protect those who cannot protect themselves, even if they are not human?" Lisa looked at the young alien for a long moment. She thought about Daniel and his gentle eyes. She thought about the Marines who had stormed ships to capture war criminals. She thought about Brooks, the farm boy from Nebraska who had written to her asking if he had done the right thing. "Yes," she said finally, "that is exactly who we are. We are not perfect, we make mistakes, we get angry and we hold grudges, but when someone needs help we will be there. That is a promise." The young nodded seriously. "Then I think the galaxy is lucky to have you." Lisa smiled, but she felt tears forming in her eyes. "Thank you. That means more than you know." After the students left, Lisa walked to the memorial plaza at the center of Nexus Station. A statue had been unveiled there the week before. It showed Ambassador Daniel in his formal robes, one hand extended in greeting, his kind face forever frozen in bronze. The inscription at the base read, "He came in peace. We answered in fury. Let the galaxy remember both." Lisa placed a small bouquet of flowers at the base of the statue. Earth flowers, grown in the station's gardens from seeds she had brought from home. "We did it, Daniel," she said quietly. "We changed things. The galaxy is different now because of what you started. I just wish you were here to see it." The statue did not answer, of course. But somewhere, in whatever place good people go when they die, Lisa hoped that Daniel was smiling. Above her, ships from 100 worlds passed by the station. Humans and a dozen other species all traveling together, all equal, all protected by the same laws. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Human lives mattered. All lives mattered. And those who forgot that lesson would face the consequences. Lisa Grant turned away from the statue and walked back to her office. There was work to do. There was always work to do. But for the first time since Daniel had died, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. The galaxy was not perfect. It might never be perfect, but it was better than it had been, and it was getting better every day. That was enough. That was everything.